fun. And let's go ahead and get this YouTube video. YouTube.
Boom.
And last but certainly not least,
Audio.
In 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to another episode of
Business Bros! Or if you ask Mr. Akshay, who was on the Booze Over Business podcast today, he said, Business Hoes!
We love Akshay.
We love AK.
Dude, he's
good
cool.
people.
So, yeah, I didn't get a chance to check out the Booze Over Business show, and I really wanted to today.
I know, man. Hey, big shout out to those guys over there at Booze Over Business. If you have not watched that episode, right after we get done here, go watch that one.
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to go check it out. So, shout out
sure.
to Mr. Pancho Lopez and Jonathan Fisher out there. They had Akshay on the show today.
Yep.
So, looking forward to that one. That little Indian guy going crazy.
Yeah, he's good. He's good people.
He is good people.
They both
are. Let's do our normal promos for the day. Let's start it off. Make sure, ladies and gentlemen, 365 pairs of shoes is what we're shooting for by the end of the year. So we will pick up those shoes for you. James will ride over in his Harley. If you have a pair of shoes, lightly, gently used, or new shoes, we're cool with that. Hop on Amazon, order a pair of some shoes that you want to give away to the homeless. We don't care. Pick a size. It's completely up to you. We'll have James head over there and he'll pick up the shoes from you. You can shoot him an email, james@csfirst.com, or you can text him or call him 619-884-0045. 365 pairs of shoes by the end of the year, and we know you can help us achieve that goal, meet and exceed that goal. So let's get on it, ladies and gentlemen. Next little thing, we can just jump into the show because it's kind of where I was going with it anyways.
Let's do it. What were we talking about?
Right.
Where were you going with that?
Well, before we started the show, before we went live, James and I were having a discussion of, where the Business Bros is going. I mean, honestly, we kind of sit down and talk about this almost every single day.
We pretty much do, yeah.
Every single day. And
hang on. Actually, before we get down to serious business, I want everybody to notice something. This is really cool. Doesn't happen every day. However, on this day, our logo matches us. I'm wearing yellow polo.
I got blue. It's not a polo, but it's still blue. All right.
Gotta love it.
That is kind of funny. See, we were working on that. It was scheduled.
It was totally scheduled.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
All right. But anyway, back to the vision of the Business Bros.
All right. So, honestly, it's something that you should be doing in your business every day anyways, right? Every day you should be looking at your own business structure, what you're doing on a daily basis, and trying to find ways to improve whatever it's going to be. Something small, something major, something structural, something systematic, whatever it's going to be, you should be looking at your business every day and really figuring out not only praising the successes, but really taking a look at your losses in the day, your L's, your failures, so that you can improve upon them, so that you don't make the same mistake twice. I mean, recently we were talking about a policy that didn't end up going through, right? And with Pipeline, it's something that you just sit down and you say, okay, well, let's make sure that this mistake doesn't happen again. And so we're looking at the Business Bros podcast, and we're trying to figure out, okay, we attracted pretty good amount of attention in the short time frame since we've started. We've really hit the market hard when it comes to real estate, and now we're starting to expand into newer other business areas. And so we're trying to figure out different ways to continue to bring value to the podcast, while at the same time structure this so that it's more of a business sense. In other words, a bottom line that has a profit. Let's come down. Let's get down to the nitty gritty, to the basics. If you're in business, ladies and gentlemen, if you are in business, if you're truly in business, not a hobby, because trust me, we can do podcasting for fun as a hobby, and that'll be a cool thing, and that's all great and dandy, but we are in the business of building businesses. Mm-hmm. That's just what it comes down to. So this podcast started off more as a marketing technique for us to get in front of more of you, which we've successfully done, I think so, right? Yeah. But it's grown its own legs, and now we got to figure out how to take it to a new level. And so we figured, and this is one of those things we did since the beginning of the podcast, since we were just the two of us on here before we had people on the show, is we want to be upfront with you guys. We want to tell you like where we're at, and so that way you can kind of see that starting is for everybody. There's always a beginning point for everything that you do, and we're not the you're not the only one out there who's just getting started, who's building something that doesn't show a profit at the beginning, but will turn it into something that does. Right?
I love that, dude, because everybody's out here trying to do their best, trying to put their best foot forward. Make something real, make something happen, make something that is going to outlast themselves. Everybody's trying to build a legacy.
Yes.
And we're out here doing the same thing, and when it comes right down to it, we can't do it alone.
No, we can't. And that's one of the things that's really beautiful about what we've done here on the show. When we've interviewed so many people, they all have the same type of struggle. They all have that period in their life where they're just getting started, where they're tying up their shoelaces, or suiting up, buying their suits, and just getting out there and doing the daily grind to go out and do the physical work that is necessary to get their business in a position where it has a positive trajectory. And when we see them now, when we look at them now, yeah, they're at the top of the game, and it looks like it's super easy because they're closing deals here, they're earning checks there, and all that is great, but they all have a starting point. And luckily for you guys get to hear those stories, but at the same time, if you just parallel their stories with where we are as a podcast, as a media company, essentially, then we're infants ourselves. We're babies. We haven't really developed a good strategy because we didn't have a strategy coming in. Kind of like everybody else, right? We just kind of were born, right? We created this podcast. It was born, and now we got to learn to walk and go in a specific direction. So James and I were talking about that, before the program a little bit, and he kind of just stopped me. He said, "Stop talking. We're going to record this. We're going to put it on the podcast." And it's one of those things that you guys should be kind of doing yourselves. If you're going to be in business, if anybody who's out there who's a Gary Vee fan, for example, he talks about, creating content, about documenting versus creating. If you're struggling with putting content out there, Facebook being our billboard, essentially, right? Facebook is the place where everybody's looking at stuff, and all you're trying to do is get whatever it is that you do in front of those people as much as you can. You can do it by podcasting. You can do it by creating videos, YouTube, that sort of stuff, whatever it's going to be. But you got to get out there and put the content out. And where a lot of people struggle, where even I struggle when it comes to creating content, is when I hold the camera up to my face, when I hold the cell phone up and I'm ready to hit record, I just draw blank. I don't exactly know what to say. And that is where documenting comes into place versus creating. Creating is often difficult. I had a conversation with Mike Cuevas, and he was talking about, when they filming and lighting and all these different things are very minuscule when it comes to creating content. Once he gets ready to actually film, he's already had a storyline mapped out. He already has an exact idea of what his end product is going to look like. That's where the creativity comes in. If you're just kind of picking up your cell phone and just trying to talk, that's great. That's not the best type of content in the world, but it's content nonetheless. It's you getting your information out there. So if you're struggling with creating the story that you want, if you're struggling with coming up with a creative idea, the very least you should be doing is documenting, which is kind of what we're going to do here. We're documenting where we're at as a company, where we're at as a podcast, and then where we want to go and how we're going to get there.
Documenting our progress. Now, many of you who are watching, I'm not changing the camera just yet, but many of you who are watching can see that writing behind Hernan's head. I don't know if it's backwards for all of you. It looks backwards on my screen. But what it says is, number one, what was your life like before ... before the struggle, before the success came, before it all got turned around. So when we're going through these hard times, when we're sitting here talking with each other trying to figure it out, we have to keep in mind what the frustration feels like. That's number two there. What did the frustration feel like as you tried to solve the problem alone? Number 3, what did you do differently? Number 4, take us through that moment when you realized that what you were doing was working. And number 5, what does your life look like now? So this is what, basically like the hero's journey?
It's information that I got from a book called Building Your Story Brand. So I wish I could take credit for it, but it's not necessarily mine. But it's a structure on how to tell a story. It's the way that when you come in for an interview, by the way, when you hear the stories that people have when they come on the show, that's the model that I use. That's the way that I ask my questions, because it's the way that we as human beings enjoy a story. It's the way pretty much any movie is written. We want to see that in a story loop over and over again in a movie. It keeps our attention on what we're doing. So if you ever find yourself interested in these stories that our guests have, it's probably because we're following a set structure. And that came after a while. That wasn't something that we started off brand new. When we started off on our early conversations, they were literally just conversations. But now when you hear our stuff, people are telling their story, and it's scripted almost, even though it's their story. It's not really a script, but the way I ask questions and then the things that I get them going through is through an outline, a conversational outline essentially. And many of you use the same type of thing. If you're a realtor, you have a conversational outline, also known as a script. When you talk to for sale by owners, or when you talk to an expired listing, or when you talk to a client at an open house, or when you talk to a seller at a presentation, you have these scripts that you practice, that you internalize, that you make your own, so that when you're having a conversation with these people, it's fluid. It's just a story. You're getting from point A to point B. You're helping guide them through the process in a way that's natural and progressive. And that's why that's one of those things that we use. That was something that we developed just by me continuously trying to better the craft that I'm working on. I'm trying to make the business better. Our logo, for example, that came from who told us? I think it was Mr. Steven Sanchez, actually, from Taylor and Reach. His sister-in-law literally lives down the street his sister literally lives down the street from me. And so he came over one day and he was like, hey man, what you should be doing is you should get your logo redone so that you can put it on anything. You can put a sticker, you can make a hat, you can make a t-shirt, you can make whatever. And it's something fun, easily put on anything else. You can make digital thank you cards, whatever it's going to be. And so he was one of the ones that said, you need to work on your logo, probably go to Fiverr and check it out. And so we did. Right. And those are little things that we had to do. Zabi was one of the ones who came in when Zabi and Jose came in, did an interview, and they sat down with me after. Their interview was maybe 45 minutes or so, whatever it was. But dude, they were here for an extra hour and a half, 2 hours. So shout out to Zabi and Jose. And we were just literally talking about where the podcast is, where we wanted to go. And Zabi schooled me. He was like, dude, he made me think about great interviewers like Oprah, like Dr. Phil, like Joe Rogan, right? These people who are big time podcasters or big time, show hosts, and looking at them and really not paying attention to the show, but how that podcaster interacts with their guests, how they dig deeper into these questions. Jessie Wright, for example, we had the opportunity to sit down with her and powwow a little bit, and how she goes about asking those deeper questions to get to know the person is where the story comes out. It's where you care about it. It's Mr. Javier Fedia was on the show, and I'm hoping that when he left the show, he left thinking, damn, I did struggle. I did make it from where I came from. He walked out thinking, man, those were deep questions. He really got me to answer some stuff that I didn't expect to answer when I came on the show today. And that's kind of the point. That's why those stories are so interesting. And all that stuff comes from building your, practicing your craft and making sure that you're trying to make yourself better and better every single day. And it comes from getting to know people, getting yourself out there, making yourself vulnerable, and asking the questions like, hey, what do I suck at? How do I make it better? Right. And so Katon was here the other day, and him and I were talking again, and he was saying, he mentioned what he thought the Business Bros podcast should be. And I thought it's actually pretty cool, because he said what it should be is when a business is getting ready to launch or do an event or do a promotion, they usually look for media plugs, right? So they'll go to like the local Channel 10 News or KUSI, and he said, and they should go to Business Bros, right? And I thought that's a good target to shoot for.
I was having a similar conversation. I was on a walk last night and talking with my friend Jen that I was walking around the neighborhood with. And one of the things that I was saying is, look, man, if all we do is build a significant following in San Diego, that's still significant.
Dude, San Diego's a huge county.
San Diego's, it's a big county, but we're so packed. Like, there's a ton of people here. If all we do is penetrate a good market here, and all we do is support local businesses here,
yes.
If that's all we do, we're still winning.
Yes.
If we are the types of influencers, if we are the type of podcast that when you come on our show, your business for whatever you're promoting doubles, or
the Shark Tank of San Diego.
Yeah, whatever it is. I mean, all we're trying to do is expand our networks to allow other people to reach people that they otherwise wouldn't.
Right.
That's really our big goal here. And you talked about this vision of the podcast that you had, and this media company that we're building. And it took me a little while. I think you told me about it. Today's Wednesday. I think you told me about it on Monday. And when you first told me about it, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm like not following your vision. And by the way, those of you who don't know, if you have not read The E-Myth by Michael Gerber, thank you. You have the entrepreneur, which is the visionary. And then you have the manager, which is the systems guy. That's me. And talked about this before. The visionary drives the manager crazy, because every time the manager puts a system into place and everything's functioning the way it's supposed to, the visionary comes through and says, hey, we're going to shake everything up and completely change it. And that's pretty much our relationship. So
that's how it works.
But anyway, it took me a couple of days. I finally got an idea of this vision that you're going for. And what we are trying to do, from my understanding, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding is we're trying to be like a think HGTV, right? That type of network, but on YouTube with a very strong, at least, San Diego following, and we can grow from there.
Yeah, I see it sort of like that. I actually see it more like a Guy Fieri, like going to local restaurants, right? I see it more along the lines
Food
of
channel,
Food Network, more HGTV because we're real estate, a little bit of Food Network, but it's really that small business presence, I think, is where we're really gonna excel.
Right.
I like the idea more of like Shark Tank, for example. You come on our show, you have an event going on, you have a promo that needs to be put out there, and we're going to help you sell tickets. We're going to help you generate leads. We're going to help you grow your Instagram, grow your Facebook following.
Well, I'm going to argue with you a little bit, just because that's not necessarily Shark Tank, but...
No, well, I mean, Shark Tank is looking for an investor, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if
this is just promotion, man. Look, when it comes right down to it, that's all this is us trying to get your name out there, and trying to make this something that when you come on the show, your reach is expansive. Your reach is all of a sudden much further than what you could have done on your own, because like we talked about just a minute ago, what did it feel like when you were trying to solve the problem alone? We're just part of your team.
Right. And here's the thing, as this vision starts to unfold, for example, as we start to define who the business bros are, define what our target market is, all these things that you should be doing in your business, by the way, on a regular basis, really fine-tuning who you're going to go after, really fine-tuning who your target audience is, really fine-tuning what you're going to focus your attention on a daily basis, because there's a number of things that we can do that could take all the time in the world, but which ones are the money-making activities, right? Which ones are the ones that you want to focus on that are going to take your company to somewhere where it makes a big difference? So, for example, as we started to narrow things down, we started to look at the different tools and resources that we would need to implement the vision that we have. And that starts to throw wrenches in the problem itself. Do we have a video crew to follow us, or to make video promotions for these particular small businesses that we want to work with? Or, do we have the capability or the means, or what is the revenue source? All these different questions that start coming into play, we start really focusing our attention with, okay, well, there's an infinite number of things that we can bring that we can, want to do. Which ones do we have to do? And then what kind of budget constraints, and then what kind of hours in the day limitations, and those sort of things start to come into play. And that's one of those where you have to figure out where you want to be at the end, and then work your way backwards. How do you get to that point? But if you don't have a clear focus on where you want to be, if we don't exactly know what the Business Bros podcast looks like, if we don't know what our end game is, if we don't know what our ideal customer is, then everything else is kind of just throwing something up in the air.
All right. So what's the end game?
So, yeah. Well, that's what. Excellent question, my colleague.
Excellent question.
No, honestly, I think the end game, and this is one of those things that I was telling you most recently, is I want to have regular conversations with influencers monthly, right? Well, there's two things that I'm kind of narrowing down. One is more like a therapy session, or like a coaching session, but with specific influencers or specific companies that I work with on a regular basis. That's ultimately how I see my personal future going, right? Where we sit down and we talk about, hey, where are you at? What is your overall perspectives? What's your goal? Let's take a look at your actual numbers. Let's look at your profit and loss statement. What's that? You don't have a profit and loss statement. Let's start working right there, right? Do you know where you stand today? And then what does the future look like for you? By the way, let's set these weekly, monthly, whatever type of goals that we want to achieve, and then let's work towards those on a regular basis and meet on a regular basis. Honestly, dude, it's a therapy session. When I first got into taxes, that was one of my favorite things to do every year, was meet with a client and just sit and listen. Right? This is what's going on in my life. I got divorced. A family member died, or we got married, or we had a baby, or we bought a house, or whatever the situation is. I love to sit down and listen to all of it. And then, have you thought of this? Mm-hmm. Have you tried? Did you know that this is now a new opportunity for you? Or this opportunity is no longer there. We should probably look at this. I really like doing that kind of sit down therapy consulting type thing. And that's where I see my end game personally, right? As far as the Business Bros is concerned, I see the Business Bros as essentially the Shark Tank type place. This is where you come to launch. This is where you come to expand. This is who you call us when you want to sell more tickets to your event, when you want to promote a grand opening, when you want to whatever it is that you're doing that you need media attention for. That's what you're going to hit us up for, because we're going to have a cool audience of people that you listen because you have your friends on the show. You listen because the people that you look up to are on the show, and they're all local people right here. They're people that you're going to meet. By the way, just a reminder, tomorrow is the Padres home opener.
Whoop, whoop.
Okay, so if you're going to be at the stadium tomorrow, you're going to want to pay attention to my Facebook post, because I'm going to be giving away $10 bills tomorrow.
What did you call it? The My 10 Challenge?
The My 10 Challenge. So here's the deal. I don't spend $10 bills. I don't say I can't, right? I don't spend $10 bills. Melina.
Yep, Melina.
Okay, so I don't spend $10 bills. I keep them. It's a forced way of saving, a fun way of saving money. So what I do is I'm normally on a cash budget. And so when I go out to spend money, and maybe I pay, I go to In-N-Out, and it's like $8 and something, $8 and change. I give a $20 bill. And if the cashier gives me back a $10 bill, I can't spend that $10 bill. I won't spend it. I put it in a shoebox, and I just stack them away. And it's kind of a cool, fun way to start saving some money. So I called it the My 10 Challenge. I've been doing it for a couple years. Jimmy Russ, Mr. Jack of all trades over here, entrepreneur, visionary himself. He's the one who shared it with me. And so I've been doing it since, and it's kind of cool. And so I try to promote a fun way of you saving money by doing the same thing. And every once in a while, at big events like this, I'll do a My 10 Challenge giveaway, and I'll give away $10 bills. And so I'm taking $100 worth. So I'm taking $10 bills, and I'll announce it, and I'll be in the park at the park area. So I'll be in the grass section, because I got my kids and they like to play in the grass. So, so if you find me, come hit me up. I will give you a $10 bill. All we got to do is do like a little Business Bro, take a picture or whatever, just so I can promote it, cross promote it with your people and my people. And I encourage you to save it, but it's just my way of encouraging saving, encouraging you putting money away for yourself. But chances are you're probably going to go buy a beer, and that's cool. I understand that. But hey, it's the my 10 challenge. And if it's something that sounds cool, maybe you don't want to do $10. Maybe you want to do $1 denomination. Maybe you want to save $2 bills. Maybe you want to save $50 bills, whatever it is. You choose and, force a nice, fun way of saving some money.
I love it. It works. I mean, I talked about it before. I do the $1, but, whatever. So.
Back to the business bros?
No. Actually, this was going to be kind of fun.
Okay.
How's Thanos going to die?
Oh, you went way left field.
I went way left field on this. You know why? Because who was it that was here?
It was Katon.
Was it Katon?
Yeah.
It was Katon.
He went nerd on us, too.
Yeah, he did. But Katon was like, so how do you think he's going to die? And I was like, man, I got to go. I got to go to this event.
I know exactly how he's going to die.
Tell me.
Thor's going to go for the head next time.
You think so?
He's got to, dude. That's the only way. Either that or he's going to get into an Infinity Stone. And he's not actually going to die.
Not actually going to die?
Dude, it's a Marvel superhero universe. He's not actually going to die. Does anybody actually die in the superhero universe?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Because they always find a way to bring him back. Either they go back in time and change the timeline, or their soul gets sucked back from a realm that it's sitting in.
We'll see.
People don't actually die in a superhero universe. Even Stan Lee, who died in real life, has not died in the superhero universe.
But did he get snapped?
He didn't get snapped. But I'm just saying, so I don't think Thanos is actually going to die. I just think he's going to go away for a while.
Gonna get stuck in the Soul Stone?
Yeah, something. Maybe he changes places with his daughter in there, because it's the only
love he's ever known.
Yeah, so you never know. I don't know exactly. We'll see. That's an excellent question.
Got another one for you.
Okay. Since we're going a little off base,
we're going totally off base here, because you know what? This is why I'm going off base here. Something I was thinking about. We sit here and we talk to all of these different people and we hear all of their stories. And I mean, yeah, we had like 60 or 70 episodes before we started doing all of this, but we didn't have a great following. Uh-huh. And so maybe people haven't really gone back and listened to all of that. Uh-huh. So that's cool. I'm like, we got a few minutes here.
Last few minutes?
Let's just talk
a little bit about off the cuff then.
Off the cuff. So, all right. My big things that I'm passionate about that I do when I'm not working.
Ooh, me personally?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I don't even know. I mean, if I'm not working, then the only other thing I'm doing is spending time with the kids or the wife. I don't really do... I'm pretty lame, dude. Even my fun stuff is work.
That's true.
Honestly,
you are pretty lame.
I am pretty lame, dude. Like, I went to Phil's event. Like, that's an event that I would go to. I went to... I go to events that we get invited to, and those are, like, my fun times. But they're technically, I guess they're still work, but I still go and have fun, right?
I mean, you're going to the Padres game.
I'm going to the Padre game. Technically, that's kind of work too, because Jimmy's like, we do every year for Pipeline.
That's true.
So I go every year, but again, it's a family thing too. So if it's not work for me, then it's family time.
What about movies? Shows,
movies, family time, movies, dude. Movies is the thing. If I'm doing anything other than work or events, it's movies.
It's movies. Sounds about right.
And I'm pretty lame, dude. I don't know, but it's fun. But that's me. That's like my level. It's different.
You gotta get out there and do stuff, man.
I just said I do stuff. It's just my do stuff. I only have so many hours in the day, so I'm gonna mix as many things as I possibly can.
You're a hard worker. You're like,
but for me, that's the thing. Like, I hate calling it hard work, because in my mind, it's what I'm doing for fun.
What I mean to say by that is that you're very dedicated, and like you really don't stop working. And being that you're my older brother, I've always compared myself to you, right?
Yeah.
That's just kind of,
That's what brothers do.
That's what brothers do. So like, I see you and I know that like 7-8 o'clock at night, you're still at home, you got your laptop in front of you, you might have like, Walking Dead on the TV, or might be, doing something Netflix, but you got your computer in your lap and you're like busting away at it, right? Whereas me, I'm like, it's my off time, I'm gonna watch a Marvel movie. And you know what I do? I watch Marvel movies with commentary now.
With commentary.
Like
Dude.
there's
I'd rather listen to a Marvel podcast.
I'm listening to the Marvel podcast, but they did the commentary on the podcast.
Dude,
so they have a all right, ready, set, start the movie. Dude, and then you listen to them.
You know what would be funny? I'd be down to do that with like Corey or Joe.
Hell yeah. You know, it's basically the same thing.
Yeah, and I've been telling them they should be doing that just to have fun with it, dude. That way you can. So what's that like? So somebody records an audio, because obviously it'd be copyright infringement if you have the video and the audio at the same time. So they just hit okay, ready, play, and the movie starts on audio, but you're hearing the commentary while the movie's playing. So you have the TV on mute with the podcast going.
Right.
That's so funny, dude. That's cool.
With the subtitles on.
That's cool, though.
Like really, really, really low volume, because I still want to hear the explosions and the gunfire and all of that. Of course. Yeah.
That's funny, dude. That reminds me of Grandpa, actually, when he's watching. He'll put the Dodger game on TV.
Oh, yeah.
But he listens to it on the radio in Spanish. Yep. Because he liked the announcer. That's so funny, dude. I see, and that's one of those things where, like, I would take something as corny and as weird like that and turn it into a business, because that's how I operate. Like, I would be like, dude, I need to find somebody and let's do that kind of podcast, and we'll do it. And I'll dedicate myself to spending the time doing that. And then if it pans out,
funny, dude.
If it pans out, I'll take this podcast.
That's how your brain works.
That's how my brain works.
That's the difference between you and me. Like when I'm doing that, like that's my shut my brain off time.
I don't have a shut my brain off time. I don't know why, dude. It's just how my brain works. That's why I'm saying, like,
that's why you quit drinking.
That's why because then I can't fire on all cylinders at all times.
Right.
And that's one of those weird things. Like it's I don't know why it's like that, but I have fun with it. Like I was listening to Gary Vee today, and he was talking about how you're not an entrepreneur if you've ever worked for somebody, right? And it's weird because I do work for somebody. I work for Sweetwater Union School District. I do work for somebody, but at the same time, I don't really see.
Oh, by the way, Daniel Salas says that Captain Marvel is going to finish him off.
Oh, Captain Marvel's crazy though. She's
gonna go off.
Look, I had this conversation. By the way, I had this conversation with a student in my classroom, and we were talking about how Captain Marvel is almost like cheater power. Like, what is the limit to her power? She like destroyed a fleet of spaceships with her bare hands.
Powered by the Tesseract, by the Space Stone. Like,
no, I get that.
That's
so is Scarlet Witch, though.
Yeah, it's true.
So what's
her
actually
power? Hers is the Mind Stone.
Okay, but still, a stone still powers her.
Yeah.
So that's ridiculous.
But that's why she's ridiculously powerful. That's why they, like, when she came on the field, they looked at her like, why was she up there all this time?
Well, that's where he got his black tears from. You destroyed my Armada in the 90s.
In the 90s.
But dude, that's one of those things, like, it's not really fair, like, to have that kind of awesomeness power. But
well, yeah,
whatever.
But speaking of not fair, it's like you and your brain not shutting off. Like, you're over here like, I don't understand why you would want to shut your brain off. I'm like, I don't understand how you can keep it on all the time. Like, well, my brain gets tired.
This is why, for me, the Business Bros is going to focus its attention on small business, because my mind is always on the startup mode.
Right.
It's always on the startup mode. And then I get it to a certain point and I'm like, I'm done with that. The excitement's done for me.
And that's when I take over, and I'm like, okay, I got the system. Da 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 da. And then I start working the system, and then you're like, oh, good job. Now we can do this.
Right. But like, for example, Pipeline, I have very little to do with our insurance company anymore going forward.
Day-to-day operations.
Because for me, I'm like, oh, that's cool. It's good. Now it's profitable. Right? That's yours. Take it away. Right? And that's how I operate. And I'm like, okay, what's next?
What's next?
I like the building to the profitability part. That's my favorite part. That's where I excel. That's where my energy's at. That's where my passion's at. And that's why, for the Business Bros, getting those companies to get to the point where they're profitable, where they're happy, they want to build a business that they might want to stay in for the rest of their life. And kudos to them. That's great. I can help you get there. I can help look at your business and be like, is it time for me to incorporate? Not yet. Let's focus your attention on this. Or is it time for you to incorporate? Yeah, you should. You have a lot of assets that you need to protect. It's probably a better idea if you do this now, right? Or you know, should I be buying a building, or should I be leasing a car, or whatever the situation is at the beginning? I love that part.
Right.
That's where I'm at, and I've come to the realization that that's my focus.
That's why you like the Shark Tank as much as you do.
That's why I love the Shark Tank. But people always ask, well, would you ever take your company on Shark Tank? Students, because I have Shark Tank Fridays, right, in class. And my answer is always the same. No, I want to be the shark.
You want to be the shark?
I don't want to, I mean, that'd be cool, but I don't build a business like that. My intention is to help you grow your business.
Well, yeah, but I mean, let's say, how do you get to be the shark?
You do exactly what we're doing, except they do it a little bit differently. So let me.
Well, yeah, they see it all the way through. This is my thing. Like
they become venture capitalists.
Okay.
So to be a shark, you need to have a lot of capital,
right?
So you can be a VC. So you can invest in these small things.
So you're building your networks. You're building all of these businesses, and you get them to a point where they're profitable. But then you like.
Well, I hand them off to, like you, whatever, but I still have an ownership interest.
Okay.
So, it's still not...
So the profitability, you still maintain,
Right. Let me do the hard work at the beginning. Well, what people call the hard work, I call it the fun work, right? Let me help you with the beginning part, and then once it's profitable, you're running it, and I'm just taking my piece.
So we've been talking about Marvel, heroes. Mm-hmm. We've been talking about the business bros, heroes.
That's true. And
we're out here and we're talking to all of these other small business owners who are heroes in their own rights as well.
And that's why we do what we do, because we want to tell your story.
Yep.
We want people to see that you're the hero in your story. You came from somewhere, you're doing something so you can go somewhere. That's the story.
It's the whole point.
That's the whole point.
And that's why Marvel is as successful as it is, because you can relate to those heroes. You see them and you feel for them, and you fall in love with them. And that's what we want this show to be for everybody who comes on.
100%. It's simple. It's a very, very simple concept. So, and by the way, tag Mr. Jose Alvarado on there.
I already did.
Yeah, tell him that I'll call him right back, because he called me. He returned my call. So he's one of those people that we're looking into, by the way, to help promote your businesses. So if you're interested, by the way, in getting your business promoted, you want to come out, you want somebody to help you with your social media marketing, you want somebody to come help sell an event for you, you want somebody to come help build your business, maybe talk to you about where you're at and where you want to go, hit me up. I'm ready to have that conversation with you, just to come in, and maybe it's just a free trial when we first sit down and talk. If you like me, we'll keep talking. If you don't, no big deal. You're just in the same spot you were originally anyways. So let me know. And at the very least, get you on the podcast and tell me your story about where you are and where you want to be. Now I got the sun beaming in my eyes, and I think we're pretty much out of time for today.
Pretty much. One last thing. Daniel Sala also wants to know, is an Infinity Gauntlet fair?
No,
of course not.
Fair is such a dumb word. Fair, there is no such thing as fair.
Captain Marvel isn't fair.
Captain Marvel is not fair. Life is not fair. I hate that word, fair. Right? Is it fair? That word. It's one of those words that I really hate, because people use it like it exists. Fair is not a real thing.
All right, so really quickly here, before we head off, you talked about the Padres game tomorrow, the home opener. Go out there, find Hernan, and get your $10.
That's right.
If you are not looking for $10, come find me on Friday, because I'll be out there for the beer fest.
And he'll cheers the beer with you.
That's right. I don't carry the $10, sorry, but I would love to see anybody out there, and definitely come say hi to me. Be in the same area, the Park in the Park. Also, 365 pairs of shoes. We are well on our way. I will go and I will ride to wherever you tell me to ride within San Diego limits. And I'll go pick up some shoes. And if you got like multiple pairs of shoes, let me know. I'll bring my bag, throw it on the back of the bike. And I love to ride, so I will be more than happy to ride out to wherever you are and pick up some shoes. So 365 shoes, and
that's all we got for you guys today. Oh,
that's it?
No, actually, you know what? 619-884-4915 is my number. So Hernan at csfirst.com. If you want to set up a time to talk to me, text me, email me, give me a phone call. I'm good either way. And thank you to all the friend requests. I keep forgetting to do it, but you know what?
Oh, no.
I don't have it. I didn't write it down.
You didn't write it down. All right. Well, Christopher Landis, we're too cool to put our sunglasses indoors.
Yeah, I am. But, there we go.
But
how about we Captain Salute
There you go.
All right. Well, in that case, that's all we got for you guys today.
All right, big shout outs and thank yous to Javier and Corey and Christopher who jumped on here right at the end, and everybody else who was watching. You already got your shout outs on Facebook. Appreciate everybody's participation, jumping on the podcast, and love you guys. We'll see y'all
That's all we got
next
for you guys
time.
today. Peace.
Bye-bye.
And I'm out. I got to do my shout outs. I got Facebook. I'm sorry. I got a lot of shout outs. It's just that it's always on my phone and I forget to bring them out. But we'll do it. We'll get them next time.
I could no, we're on Facebook Live, not on the show.
Yeah, it's all right. No worries.
All right, next time.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Peace.
Thank you. Make sure you look out for my live. I'm going to do a couple lives at the Padre game. So if you're in and around the area, maybe you just want to talk, hang out, let me know what's going on in your life and your business. I'll be there.
You're our heroes.
We love you guys. Captain.
Love it. That was